Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's interview with one of our incredible speakers from the Women Thrive Summit. I'm excited to have today's guest because we share passion for books. Today's guest is the Adrienne Dyer. Sorry about that.
That's
How are
okay.
you, Adrienne?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well. Where are you joining from?
So I am on Vancouver Island on the west coast of Canada, just kind of a short ferry ride from the city of Vancouver and very close to Seattle, just to help you get your bearings.
Oh, nice. Well, are you excited to talk today about writing books?
I'm so excited. I always love talking about writing books. Once I start, it's hard to get me to stop.
Oh, we're gonna have so much fun because I
Yeah.
certainly share that fashion. And I remember the first dream said, when I buy my home, my first home, the first room I'm going to do is a big old library.
Oh, I love that so much. When you do that, I want to see pictures. I just built a tiny little library into my house. We just took one corner and got some IKEA shelves and built a nice little built in there. And I put a beautiful turquoise velvet chaise in front of it. And I finally have my library. I've always wanted one. So I hope you do that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's a good time because I just closed on the house, and that's probably the first thing I'm going to do, my office and a library.
That is so exciting with all of your books on the shelf too, which is amazing.
Yeah. I got to this stage in my life now where most of the books that I have are people that I know in my life. And I'm like,
Yeah,
oh my goodness, I actually know all of these people.
that is
So that's
really,
pretty incredible.
that is
But
incredible.
okay, so today we're going to be talking about the Plan Well, Write Fast book writing workshop. Well, we are talking about books with Adrienne Dyer, who is a book coach and ghostwriter who helps women entrepreneurs and thought leaders write their business books that capture their legacy of knowledge and experience so they can build their authority, establish their position as leaders in their field, attracting new clients, fulfilling their dreams of personal, professional, and financial freedom. Adrienne, how did you get started in doing what you do today?
Well, I've been a freelance journalist for lifestyle magazines for about 18 years, and I really started just specializing in writing all different types of articles in ways that help people's businesses grow. And then I segged into content writing, website copy, email content writing, email content strategy. And just the more I learned about all things marketing and related to writing, I eventually that led me to books because a book is the ultimate marketing tool and lead magnet, lead generation tool for a business. So I feel like writing books in a way that helps a business grow is kind of the culmination of my entire writing career. So um, yeah, that is kind of in a very short list, little small
Yeah.
nutshell.
Oh, now I have to ask again.
Yes.
What sparked you in the writing? Like, what was that thing that made you like, oh, okay, that's the thing that I lights me up?
You know what? It happened many years ago. It was super early in my freelance journalism career. I wrote a couple of articles for a lifestyle magazine that had what they call advertorials in there. And they're actually paid articles. So people would pay, just local businesses would pay a certain fee to have what looked like a nice little lifestyle piece, but it was actually a paid advertisement. And so they assigned those to me. I was a new writer and I thought, okay, I didn't know anything about marketing, writing. I didn't know anything about sales. All I was doing was just I would go to the store, I would interview the owner, and they would tell me, I want to feature these products this week or whatever it was that they wanted to talk about. And then I go home and go, okay, and write a nice little story about them. And a couple of months into it, the editor phoned me up and said that there was one business owner who had a alternative healing store who had called her and said, I only want Adrienne to write my articles from now on because every time she writes a story for me, my sales go up. And I thought, wow, I can do that with my words. This is so cool. And I think from that is where my love of marketing writing specifically was born because I thought if I can use my writing skills to help other people's businesses grow and help them get visibility and all those things, then I just thought it just kind of blew my mind. And I
Mm.
just dedicated myself to doing that from then on. So I've done all different types of writing, but it's all towards that one goal of helping people grow their businesses through the written word, whether that's email content or, website copy or books now, because I also write creative fiction. And so books are just, you and I, we both love books. So I think everything that I've done has kind of led me to specifically focusing on books, and specifically focusing on helping women entrepreneurs have a voice, get more visibility, share that legacy of knowledge and expertise, all captured into one book that they can, it lives on into perpetuity once you publish it. So I think
Oh,
yeah, it's that legacy aspect too that I just love so much.
that's so interesting. I love that. And it truly makes a big difference. This part of my business has taken me very, very long time to let go of to a team member because I felt like that is the connection piece to my audience, right? Writing from the heart, writing with your passion, with your purpose. It's a very intricate part. How do you get the most, or how do you get the most out of the ghostwriting experience? Because that's part of what you do. Not only do you do book coaching, but also the ghostwriting. And I've always wondered, like, how does that even work? How do you make a book sound like the actual person?
That is such a good question, and I think that's the most, most confusing thing to people when they hear ghostwriter. It sounds like somebody else writing your story, but not getting credit. The writer not getting credit for it, and also that question about how do you capture my voice. And
Hmm.
it's actually really easy. So I meet with my ghostwriting clients for about a month. We meet every single week, same as I do with my book coaching clients. We go through the exact same process of planning out their book together. I sort of help them hone the ideas. Often they'll come with, like, I have a million ideas and I don't know which one to start with. So we start there. We figure out what is the right book for you right now, help them hone that idea. And then we build the outline, and then once the author has approved the outline, then we get to work doing all the interviews. And I had to have the exact same approach that I used all those years as a journalist. And we only this time we're meeting on Zoom instead of the old days when I used to use like a little recorder or
Yeah.
I'd scribble down all the notes. So I actually record the calls. We get together and we just go through that outline that we created chapter by chapter, and we just talk all the way through. And I ask some questions. We bounce ideas back and forth. Sometimes they have brand new ideas. We'll have a brainstorming session where I'll ask a question that sparks a whole new idea. So that's really fun, just watching that creative process happen as we talk through the book. And
Mm.
essentially, what I'm doing is guiding the author through the process of speaking their book or dictating it. So I take the recording of the interviews and then I just use the transcript. So I'm actually taking their words, putting them directly into the book, and then I just polish and refine and take, that recording of the transcript of all the words that they spoke, and then just polish that all up and make it read beautifully. So I'm just doing, I'm kind of just doing the legwork. They've spoken their way through the book. They've told me everything. It's all their words, their voice, and I'm just making it look pretty and sound good, and have polished the
Yeah.
writing.
Oh
So
my goodness. I
yeah,
got so many questions. Like, we're gonna have so much fun.
yeah.
But I want to ask you, the audience, do you have any questions for Adrienne today? If you're thinking about writing a book, if you're wanting to become a published author, maybe you're considering a ghostwriter, do you have any questions for Adrienne? Because I have a million. So if you don't, it's okay. And I want to ask you also, if you're joining us online right now or watching this on replay, let me know where in the world you're watching this from, because I'm always curious to see where people are watching us from. And Adrienne, may I just ask you, for those who may be audio impaired, because sometimes we don't see your a face and mouth moving through. Yeah, that would be
How's that?
amazing.
Is that better? I
Yeah,
have the
that a
camera
little bit better.
a little
Yeah, because
bit too.
sometimes people lip read, and I just want to be really conscious of that as well.
Yes.
Oh, Adrienne. Okay, so people have had a long life dream to publish their books. Where do they start? Where do they begin?
Where do they begin? I think they begin by thinking about what they want the book to do for them. So, what are the goals on the backside of the book? I like to give my clients this journaling exercise. The first time we meet, it's really fun. Just thinking about, it's 5 years down the road, you've published your book, And what does your life look like because you wrote that book? How did that change your life? What did it do for you professionally, personally, financially? And that really helps to kind of define the purpose of your book and help you really narrow down your ideas and zoom in on, why do I want to write this? Why now? What is it that I want to say? What led me to this moment where I felt so compelled to write a book? And who am I talking to? Who's the book for? And if you're writing specifically a book to grow your business in some way, imagine that your book brought in your most ideal clients. You're doing the work that you feel called to do, and you're working with the people that just fill your soul and you feel so fulfilled in serving. So who are those people, and what is it that you're doing? And that is actually where we start. And then thinking about, what do you want those people to feel? What do you want them to know? And what do you want them to do once they put your book down? And that really starts to shape the very beginnings of, okay, this is my book topic. These are my core messages. This is what I want to say, and this is who it's for. And that's where we start every time.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Okay, some people have started their books
Yeah.
and they have perhaps put a lot of words down on paper, but he never got it through the finishing line.
Mm.
What should they do? Or what's the value of working with someone like yourself in that kind of process?
Yeah, that is such a good question, because people come to me in all different stages. Some have just got a glimmer of an idea, and others actually come with a full manuscript. And so I actually just finished working on a book like that, where the author had finished writing her book and we went back to square one. We always go back to square one, honing the book purpose. Then we brainstorm, okay, somebody is new to your methods. What is the most logical way to lead them through the transformation that you promise in your book? The problems and the solutions that you offer, step by step, knowing that you don't have the chance to step out of the book and talk to them and explain things and clarify. It all has to be very clear. And sometimes that means stepping back a little bit in the beginning of the book and explaining certain concepts a little bit more to kind of prepare them for what it is that you're actually going to teach them, or the knowledge that you're going to share. So we always start there. And then we take the manuscript and look and see, okay, how does this fit into, essentially we would build an outline apart from the manuscript, and then go back and look at the existing manuscript and make sure that it all still fits. And often it just means kind of like, now we have a cut and paste job where sometimes the manuscript that they come with already, flows really well that way. Sometimes we need to just restructure things a little bit. Sometimes we have to restructure things a lot. I've never had anybody have to, toss the manuscript. I would never want anyone to do that. But, and I would say, if you've gone through all of that work to finish your manuscript, it can be very overwhelming to go through the revision stage for some people. I'd sort of recommend just letting it sit for a little while, let it rest, then go back and just read it through the first time and see how it flows. Try to turn off that internal editor in terms of, nitpicking the writing itself. Just look at the overarching concepts. Look at the messaging and see how it flows from chapter to chapter. You'll be able to quickly see where the pacing is off, where maybe you ramble on too much about something, where you brought up an idea or a concept and then dropped it, and where chapters don't flow from one to the other. And just kind of make note of those things. And that will give you a really good starting point for things that you can do to fix that manuscript. And often it really helps too to read it aloud, or have it read back to you using some kind of a software tool. Even just Google can read it back to you. That's where I would start, but never give up on that manuscript, because you've already gone through all of that work. You must finish it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can finish it. You can.
I started a book some years ago, and I think I got into nearly a half of the book. It was certainly good two-third, yeah, a good third to a half book written. And inner self-critic started to creep in. The
Yeah.
procrastinator started to beat on my door, and it's like, and then, I was like, well, I'm not sure if I still want to go the same direction anymore. And it never got published. And I'm always regretful that book never got published, to be honest.
Yeah.
So don't make that to be the dream that you regret later on?
The thing is, I have a book like that too, and it's about content marketing strategy.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I have heard other ghostwriters or book coaches say, you don't publish the wrong book because it will bring in opportunities that you don't necessarily want. And so I kind of left that book sitting there too, because that's not what I wanted to do anymore. I wasn't doing content marketing and content strategy. So I never published it because I'm thinking again about what opportunities it will bring in and where that will lead. But I also think there is so much to just, well, who cares? That this information is going to be valuable to somebody. It's full
Mhm.
of good stuff. So what does it matter where the book leads and what opportunities it brings if you have a valuable message to share? Even if you publish a short book, even if it just ends up being an ebook, there's and also if you've had something sitting on your hard drive for 15 years, it's never ever too late to go back to it, dust it
Mhm.
off, revise it, and publish it. It's never
Girl,
too late. It's
you're
there.
you're making me wanna revisit it because I was thinking, I was writing about Instagram because a lot of people used to know me, "Okay, she's the Instagram queen." So I
Yeah.
wrote this book, but the principles is fa and I was thinking later on, I was like, "Well, Instagram is go changing a lot," but some of the
Yes.
principles that I've written in there are still the same. Yes, the algorithms have changed, but the principles I've used remains the same, and
What
that's
would
the
be really interesting too about that book is you could even say in there, I started writing this book X number of years ago and I shelved it. And when I went back and looked at you can just say that the
Mhm.
principles that they have remained the same, but this was kind of like a fun time capsule. This is what Instagram used to be like, and this is what used to work then and what does now. And even just telling that story it's a great story to tell. I always think that talking about the process of writing the book inside the book is always really fun for the reader. It's not like when you're an actor and you never want to you never want to step out of character and step through that. I can't remember what they call it. It's like the barrier between the actor and the audience, and you don't want to cross that line. But when you're an author, you get to play with that in all kinds of different fun ways. And it's
Mhm.
also really great for readers to see the journey that you took as you wrote the book. So
Mm.
yeah, and even if it becomes a shorter version, or sometimes I've found when I've shelved projects like that, I go back and I realize, wow, this is actually almost done. I should have just kept going. And sometimes your brain just needs to percolate. It might need to percolate it for 6 months. It might need to do it for 10 years. But
Yeah.
it's never too late to dust it off and do something new with it.
I love it. I love it. I feel like you're just such a book whiz that somebody needs to have in their pocket. Like, okay, you want to publish a book. Somebody just needs to have a little chat with Adrienne,
Yeah.
and your magic is going to be sparked again, and you're going to be inspired to write and finish that book and dust off that manuscript and hit that publish because it's usually the last line, isn't it, to cross. I found that with my own publishing journey and clients we work with, that is the final finishing line that is the hardest. How do you support clients into kind of overcoming that last line, the
Yeah.
finishing line, I guess, worries and
Yeah.
frills, because it is quite scary to put yourself out there.
It's so scary. And I'm working on my own book now, and it's one thing to coach these things and try to encourage others, but then when you do it, it's almost like when doctors get sick, you see what it's like to be on the other side. And it's really hard. It is a little bit of a leap of faith, and you kind of there always seems to be a point with a book where you feel like this is never going to get finished, or the messy middle is all about this is a big mess. I was so excited about it and I did so much work and now it just feels like a great big mess. And then there's that point at the end where you just think, are we ever going to be finished with the revisions, or those things? And I think it's just a matter of kind of managing your energy around it. And if you're trying to do it yourself, it's just kind of honor your own, give yourself a deadline, I think, and don't we'll always expand the time to fit the container that we create. So if we give ourselves a ton of time or we don't set a deadline, will just take forever. So sometimes it's good, I think, to have that set deadline. But when I'm working with people, I'm helping them through the revision process and showing them exactly what to do. And it's like, here's your checklist, here's your step by step. And we just focus on the step that you're in. Just do that one step, then you move on to the next, and trying not to worry about what's coming next. I think sometimes especially when you're in a really difficult step or one that you find particularly hard, which is different for every author. But then just having, my eyes are on it, and I'm giving them tips and things. And with my clients, I can go as deep as they want me to. If sometimes, it's a matter of, okay, I did the best that I could. I'm not that confident in my writing. Can you just fix it? Here's my manuscript, and I will just go in and just polish the whole thing. So sometimes it's just turning that over to somebody else to do that work for you. And I always recommend that every author hire a professional editor too, to do that professional polish, because no matter how I hire professional editors for my work, because no matter how, you know, um, good of a job we think we've done with our self edit, it's so valuable to have somebody else's set of eyes to find those mistakes and things like that. But I think you just need someone in your corner cheering you on, helping with that creativity component, helping unlock the creative brain, giving all kinds of different suggestions based on what they've seen work for a diverse set of writers, and just finding that system and the process that works for you, which is, it's a discovery process. Writing a book it's a journey of discovery about yourself and how you work and the roadblocks that you have. And it's different for every author that I work with, but there's also similarities that I see. And then, I just finished helping an author. She's just about to finish her book about training dogs, and it's more about training the humans than the dogs, by the way. But she has dyslexia, and her entire life she struggled with writing. And she told me the other day that most of what she heard in school went right over her head, because she she couldn't read. She struggled to read and she struggled to write, and so therefore she couldn't learn in school. And now she's written a book, and she wrote it. I didn't ghostwrite it. She wrote the book, and she wrote it extremely quickly. She wrote it in like 2 months. And so that's just, it was just a process of trying to work with her and being creative, and let's try this and what about that. And she found her groove, and she found the thing that worked for her, and she feels like she's overcome this massive block in her whole life. All, the story that she's told herself her whole life about reading and writing, and she's written a book. And it's like, wow, that, to me, I get shivers when I even think about it. That's why I do what I do.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that answers your question. That was kind of a long ramble, but
No, I'm just, I don't know. I really enjoy this topic. I think for me, like I said, books is so fascinating because I think people are so fascinating. Their
yeah,
experiences, their journeys, their stories. For me, that's really interesting. If I had a time, like so much time in my hands, I'd be just reading people's stories because
yeah.
honestly, it's so fascinating. How have you seen that book has helped people? So we talked, as I read in your bio, that you help entrepreneurs, professionals, coaches, mentors to really use a book in a way that helps them achieve their goals. What do you think has been some of the benefits for those who have written and published books?
There's all kinds of things that authors have done with their books, and usually, you know, one of the coolest things about it is just that they will say opportunities come that they really couldn't even have imagined. I know one author, he's not a client of mine, he's actually one of my mentors who taught me ghostwriting in the very beginning. But he wrote a book many years ago, and it just led to all kinds of opportunities that he hadn't even expected, including offers from publishers, traditional publishers, which he turned down because he was quite happy to publish it on Amazon. And when you hand over the keys to a traditional publisher, there are just restrictions and things like that that you need to be aware of, and that's right for some people and not right for others. But for clients, it's speaking engagements. And that's actually one of the common things that common goals that a lot of authors that I work with have, is they want to
Mhm.
build a career as a speaker. So then
Mm,
that starts to happen. And when you have a published book, that gives you a huge advantage as a speaker because um, those who are looking to hire speakers for their stages prefer if you have a book, and so that gives you a real advantage when in the selection process, having a book like that you can share with the audience. And so and again, knowing what those goals are for the author, that actually drives
mm,
the book itself, because how-to books and things like that with a real framework work really well for speakers. Other things that authors have done is, a common thing is just building new leads for their coaching programs. So it just brings people in the door for their coaching programs or their online courses, working with them one on one. Maybe they develop a group coaching program off of the back end of that. A lot of them actually end up using the book to develop a course, because now everything that they teach is so organized. Now they just take the book and they kind of can summarize it and break it down into pieces, and they turn that into their online courses. Um, yeah, so and I have worked with a few authors that didn't actually want to grow a business off the back end. They just wanted to help. So two of those clients are widows, and they've written their books specifically just to help other widows get through the hardest time in their lives and learn how to live with grief and things like that. So that is something that they've found super beneficial, but it hasn't grown the business. It's more just about, here's my journey, here's how I handled these things. I hope this helps you, navigate a very difficult time in your life or challenges that you may face. So those are just a few of the ways that my clients have used their
mm,
books and are using their books. But most of the time, it's to bring in leads. It's like a giant lead generation tool that works for you 24/7 without any zero effort from you. You do that great big effort once, you publish the book, and now it sits on Amazon round the clock worldwide, speaking to people, which is
mm.
really cool. And it's
Oh,
also, the other major thing is that they can use it now for their content, because I've joked about this before, but you just open your book to any page and there's all your social media posts for the next week. So you never have to you never have to create content again.
that's right, repurpose. Oh, that's the ultimate repurpose and promotional material that you can use,
Yeah.
and it's so good. I've been through the process of writing my own books, and it's beautiful. It's really is beautiful when you get to reflect back, whether it's I mean, most things that we write as well as nonfiction. So some things that I've done now is like more of the personal overcoming adversity stories. And the new book that I'm writing right now is actually on the educational part on what I do.
Yeah.
And it's so therapeutic, and it's so beautiful to just go back to kinda to the back of your brain and try to find it, and try and find, words and information and relay it to your audience and really think about your audience and the value you bring. It's incredibly valuable process in itself, I think.
It is, and it can be very healing, like you said. I just finished working with an author, about a month ago, she's a survivor of domestic abuse, and she was in that marriage for 17 years, that relationship, and she wrote her book to help others like her, and she's going to build a community, where people can go to find support and things like that. But she just cried when she was done,
Mm,
because she almost gave up a few times, because she thought, this I don't want to go down that. I'm not sure if I have the strength to go back down that journey, in my mind. But as she wrote, it was a cathartic. She said this is the most powerfully healing, thing that she had done so far. She felt so healed by the time she finished writing the book. She hadn't really expected that. It took her by surprise. I've seen that before so many times. But she said writing her book healed her, and I
mm.
I cried, she cried, we all cried. It was just like the most beautiful story of, how just the process of writing the book is so healing.
Yeah. Oh, okay, Adrienne, we could be here all day. We're running out of time now. How can people get in touch with you if they feel like, okay, Adrienne, you got
Sure.
my attention. I want to find out more. I want to write a book. how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, if you connect with me through my website, adriennedyer.com, or you can just send me an email, adrienne@adriennedyer.com, and we can chat. I love hopping on calls with people just to talk about their ideas and what kind of help they need, and then sort of tailor, this. I have monthly coaching programs and things like that, but I always just like to talk to people and see what is it that they struggle with and what are those hurdles. And if anybody is would really love to try to sit down and actually start working on a book right now, I have a handy little planner that I put together. It's kind of a 25-page condensed version of the process that I lead people through, and the one that I use to ghostwrite books too. And you can find that at planwellwritefast.com. There's the link there. And it's just a really nice, easy to follow workbook that will kind of lead you through honing your idea and brainstorming out your chapters and getting through that outline. And then there's some tips in there about the writing process too, and even editing at the end when you're all finished. So
Mm,
that's a handy resource. If you're interested, you can grab that.
love that.
Yeah.
Oh, Adrienne, thank you so much. This has been incredible to spend time with you, get to know a little bit more about your process and also the passion that you have for writing books. It's so invaluable. I truly think that this is life-changing experience to do something like that, and incredible value, as I said, as a tool for yourself. It's almost like the glorified business cards. I don't know about you, but I don't certainly not planning on printing my business cards anytime soon. But I'm certainly planning on publishing a book, if not more than one.
Yes, I know. I love speaking to people like you and then reading your book later. And it is
Mm,
amazing because, writing a book used to be something that wasn't attainable for very many people, not because people couldn't write them, but because it was so hard to get them published.
mm,
Getting past that line at the gate is tricky. And now anybody can publish a book. There's just tools at the ready. And so that everyone's voice can be heard and their messages can be shared. And I think that's a wonderful thing. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Thanks, Adrienne.
You're
Well, for those
so
of you who are listening, please make sure that you connect with Adrienne if you feel inspired, motivated, you want to perhaps start your own book, or you may have already started a book, but you're needing that next support, next stage of support. Adrienne is here for you, and I'm super honored to have her joining for today's conversation, but also having her at the Women Thrive Summit. So, if you're not aware yet, our annual Women Thrive Summit is an incredible event featuring more than 50 amazing speakers from all walks of life, all different kind of backgrounds and expertises. And in at this event, we're going to be covering many amazing topics to help you rise and thrive, not only in personal life, but also in business and a professional life. So make sure you save yourself a spot at womenthrivesummit.com. There are free tickets to join this event, so we got no excuse not to. Make yourself available between the 18th to 22nd of March, and make sure you share it with somebody else, because this event, honestly, I can tell you, is going to be life changing and fully transformational. Adrienne, what can people expect at your talk at the Women Thrive Summit?
I'm actually really excited because I'm going to walk through, like I said, I have that worksheet, and that's something that my audience can print off and work through my talk, because I'm going to give a workshop style presentation on how to plan and write, edit, and publish a book. And it will be a lot of information, I think, in that condensed amount of time, but I really want to walk people through exact steps that they can take, and so that they can walk away with the beginnings of their book, um,
Mm,
just by watching the presentation. So if you do plan to watch my presentation, I'd love to have you there. But you can print the workbook that I mentioned before ahead of time, so that when we're going through the workshop together, you can actually start taking notes and planning your book as
yeah,
we speak.
make sure you do that. Look, this is a free resource you have, a connection inside. You just spent half an hour on this live today. You printed Adrienne's booklet.
Yes.
Hey, you could be a couple more steps closer to publishing your own book. And if that has been a dream of yours for many years, I honestly promise you to this is going to change your life, but you got to take action and be committed to that goal, because I know nothing happens just by dreaming, right? Or visualizing or manifesting if you're not willing to take that action. So your dreams have to be backed by action. Adrienne, appreciate your time today. I know you were way over time, but I'm really, really grateful for your time, and it's been a pleasure today.
Thank you so much, Ramonda, for having me. I had so much fun talking to you today. Can't wait to read
Appreciate.
your book.
Yeah, it's coming. 2024 is the year. To all of you watching, thank you so much for being here. It was lovely to hang out with you today. Later today, we do have another amazing event, Unleashing the Power of Women Voices event. So make sure you tune in. And leading up to the summit, there are so many amazing other interviews that we have lined up for you. So do make sure you tune in. Thank you all so much for watching, and we look forward to seeing you on another conversation like today. See ya. Bye bye. Thanks, Adrienne.
Thank you.